Introduction. As we have seen in the first book of this series, Lean Thinking Explained, implementing a lean business philosophy can transform an organization, bringing with it huge benefits in terms of reduced operating costs, decreased lead times, and increased customer satisfaction, along with a marked improvement in employee morale, customer loyalty, and quality of products and services. The lean business model, while originally developed within the U.S. and Japanese automotive manufacturing industries, has proven its worth time and time again in every field imaginable, from retail and manufacture to central government administration. The right management is crucial for lean companies. As we shall see, lean is not just a set of tools that can be applied to any situation to reap rewards. Lean management involves taking a holistic approach to developing a specific culture throughout an organization, and a lean business culture can only be achieved if everyone buys in. A lean manager must guide, coach, and inspire, but beyond this, they must be open and ready to learn on every step of their journey of continuous improvement. This book will explore in more detail the specific role played by management in lean companies before delving into the Lean Toolkit to show you what resources are available and how to get the most from them. As with our previous titles, we have kept the content of this e-book lean and trim. Only the most important and relevant information is included in a concise, easy-digested format, allowing you to begin implementing the ideas and principles covered quickly and effectively. What lean means. For the uninitiated, the first thing we will look at is the obvious question: what is lean? At core, lean is a business model based on the idea of customer-first thinking, CFT. To open this out a little further, CFT means businesses and corporations striving to provide their end customers with precisely what they want, when they want it, in the quantity they require, all at a price they want to pay. Lean organizations take steps to eliminate waste by streamlining their operational processes, reduce lead times, and control costs, with the overall goal of being able to meet the customer's exact order immediately without producing surplus stock at a price determined by the customer. For lean purposes, the customer is always taken to be the person or company ultimately paying for and using the goods or services produced by the organization, the final consumer at the end of the line. Waste is the term used to describe any process in an organization's operating system that does not explicitly add value to the product or service they produce from the perspective of the customer. The method of determining price in the lean business model departs from the more traditional price-setting methodologies. In most established business models, production costs are generally seen as being fixed. To increase profits, a company must therefore rely on hiking up the prices paid by its customers. Lean companies take a radically different approach. Instead of fixing costs, the lean business model takes the price of goods and services on offer to be fixed at the amount the customer is most willing to pay. Profits can only be increased by cutting costs. In other words, by eliminating waste and streamlining processes. This may set alarm bells ringing, causing you to imagine that lean companies rely on shoddy workmanship, buy in cheap materials, or replace their workforce with machines. In fact, the opposite is true. In lean manufacture, the aim is for no defects to be passed on to the customer. Costs are reduced with no drop in quality and no loss in manpower. Lean management involves the redirection of resources and pruning of operations with a heavy focus on increasing value-added work and eliminating waste. Lean works on a principle of continuous improvement, adhering to the philosophy that a 30% improvement now is better than a 100% improvement that never leaves the planning stages. Lean management, in a nutshell, works by establishing the current condition of the organization, defining the ideal condition, analyzing the gap between the two, and setting achievable incremental goals to gradually close the gap through a process of continuous improvement. Kaizen is a Japanese term essentially synonymous with this idea of continuous improvement. It is the job of lean managers to build and maintain a Kaizen bridge linking human development and customer-first thinking. The people that work for the organization develop new capabilities and skills through involvement in projects, challenges, and problem solving. As their capability grows, so does the organization's ability to meet the goals of CFT. Value-added activity, VAA, that is, processes that transform the product or service in some way that directly contributes to an increase in its value for customers, typically only take place on the shop floor. I have put shop floor in inverted commas since this could as easily be the factory floor in a manufacturing plant, the main workspace in an office building, or even out in a field. The point is that 99% of the time, VAA consists of the work completed by the team members constructing or developing whatever an organization is responsible for bringing to the market. Very rarely does VAA take the form of boardroom meetings or management activities. Input from team members is therefore extremely important, as they know better than anyone what they do in their process and how it could best be improved. They are the experts. Lean management thus involves a move away from more traditional hierarchical management structures in which a few key players make all the decisions. Lean management relies on open communications of ideas throughout an organization, up and down the chain of command. With the world and the business environment changing almost minute by minute, lean management places a heavy focus on understanding the current condition and working to solve problems affecting the organization in the here and now. Lean managers utilize these open channels of communication to keep their finger on the pulse of the organization and to create an environment where problems are quickly and effectively solved. One person can only do so much. More engagement leads to more creativity, involvement, security, and empowerment, ultimately resulting in vast growth and continuous improvement. So, how as managers do we achieve any of this? Creating a problem-solving culture. Lean is about solving problems. It is about ironing out bumps, bridging gaps, eliminating waste, and regulating the flow of work so that there are no holdups or delays as a product or service moves through the system that takes it from conception to completion. Wherever an issue arises that could detract from the final customer satisfaction with the product, it needs to be rectified. If there is an opportunity to make any part of the process more efficient or effective, it should be quickly identified, and the requisite actions to realize the opportunity should be taken. There is always room for improvement, and there are always problems to be solved. At the heart of lean management is the need to develop a problem-solving culture that permeates the entire organization. While the need to solve problems is paramount, the job of lean managers is not to identify all problems, come up with solutions, and micromanage team members in implementing them. Lean is about efficiency, and the most efficient way to ensure that every problem gets solved is to create a shop floor that can manage itself. As managers, we must create an environment in which team members with front-line involvement in the daily processes of the organization have the opportunity and are empowered to actively manage their workload and workspace, enabling them to identify and address the majority of issues that arise. Team members engaged in work on the shop floor need to be given the freedom, autonomy, knowledge, and confidence to solve problems quickly, effectively, and permanently. People are a fantastic resource when they are allowed to use their brains and exercise their creativity. While some people's initial response to the idea of eliminating problems or defects may be to propose mechanizing processes and stipulating strict working practices for employees in order to decrease variation or mistakes, this would, in fact, go against lean principles, as the system would become stagnant, never moving forward and almost certainly not engaging in continuous improvement. Unlike machines, people can learn, create, and problem solve. The people involved in frontline work can often see ways to improve the processes that they know inside out, which executives in a boardroom wouldn't think of in a million years. Thus, a key aspect of lean management is developing the human capability of all team members so that they are able to respond to any situation. Lean management is about creating an environment that nurtures confidence, communication, and creativity so that team members feel secure and encouraged in putting forward their own ideas for improvement. A large part of developing a culture of problem solving is providing the correct motivation. Philosophies and principles essential to the organization's overall aim should be communicated throughout. In this way, the ideal condition can be easily defined, as everyone will be able to understand what perfect looks like. In other words, if all processes and actions were as efficient as possible and aligned with the organization's overarching commitments, this would be the ideal condition. And this is what everyone should be trying to achieve using the lean methodology of Kaizen, continuous improvement. It is important to reinforce ideal thinking throughout an organization's culture. Wherever you see a problem, expose it. Find the point of occurrence or the root cause, and find a solution. This should be an openly communicated and collaborative process that encourages everyone to adopt the same problem-solving mindset. With everyone working together to expose issues and find solutions, problems will be solved one by one, and the organization will continuously be making progress toward the ideal condition. To sustain a problem-solving culture, create a need for the shop floor to manage itself. Whenever the goalposts move, example, customer demand increases or costs need to be reduced, a lean organization will not react by expanding the workforce or lowering the quality of its product or service. Lean means managing such challenges by making changes and eliminating waste processes to achieve this new goal. This creates the need for lean systems. To meet the new targets, team members must help find ways to increase efficiency. By bringing this all together, you can create an environment where there is a sense of urgency in responding to problems. Everyone throughout the organization will be engaged in creating solutions, and responsibility will be put in the hands of front-line employees. Of course, you must have systems in place to respond to the need you have created. It is no good expecting people to solve problems without providing the resources, training, or autonomy for them to do so effectively. There are many tools available in the Lean Toolkit that, when utilized by an organization, can help build an environment and culture in which everyone is able to confidently deal with problems using standardized and easily communicated formats and methodologies. Two of the most effective tools available are 5S, a 5-step method for maintaining order and cleanliness in the workplace to help easily identify problems, and A3, a form of action planning in response to an identified issue, both of which we will look at in some detail later in this book. While tools like 5S and A3 can make building a problem-solving culture a whole lot simpler, lean management is not just about implementing set methodologies and utilizing tools such as these blindly. There is a need to connect tools to tenets of lean thinking, so solving specific problems with a focus on customer-first thinking. For example, if an organization puts 1,000 man-hours into developing an amazing 5S system, but could not answer the question, "Why did you do this?" they would have achieved nothing. Those 1,000 man-hours would be a waste, as no value would have been added through the development of the system. For lean management to be successful, you need to know what business problem you are trying to solve before deciding which tool is best suited for helping you provide an effective solution. The end game is to solve business problems. Tools are just a means to help us do this. Lean management involves building a problem-solving culture where problems are solved at their root cause. At times, specific lean tools may work to help do this, but sometimes those same tools will not be relevant to the problem at hand. If your main problem is employee turnover, the 5S system won't help you. Your focus needs to be on your human resource and creating a better work environment. In summary, the idea of continuous improvement means everyone within the organization should constantly be learning, creating, and adapting. A lean system will always be in flux, with incremental steps being taken day by day toward achievement of the ideal condition. The only way for this to be brought about is through development of an organization-wide problem-solving culture that includes and empowers everyone, ensuring that everybody within the organization is working together toward the same goals. Lean versus traditional management. This is a generalization, but most forms of traditional management involve a single individual or small management team setting out a vision and creating goals. They then put people in place and designate tasks and targets to them with the aim of accomplishing these goals. Progress is measured by means of statistics and reports passed up the chain at monthly, quarterly, or annual intervals. In a sense, lean managers still do this, but lean management involves a much higher level of people engagement and direct, visible feedback. The lean model for management includes no room for sitting in an office looking over reports, coming up with theoretical ideas for improvement, or redirecting the actions and priorities of the people on the shop floor based on these ideas. The question at the very heart of lean management is, how do I engage my team members so we are all in this together with our sleeves rolled up? The differences between managing by reports and managing by facts. Lean managers go to where the work is being done and stay up to date with the problems, issues, successes, and failures experienced on the shop floor each day. They get direct reports from the team members they work with, listening to their ideas for improvement and sharing experience and knowledge with them to come up with solutions in a timely and collaborative fashion. When team members see lean managers as the leaders in their workplace, they know that they have their backs and that they have a good sense of how everything works and how everything is going. There is a strong sense of working together. Lean managers cannot afford to come down with a case of stuck-in-office syndrome. Go and see. The above phrase, go and see, constitutes one of the central tenets of lean management. As a lean manager, you have to be constantly connected with your organization's operations and your customers' demands. You need to be regularly visiting the shop floor and keep open lines of communication with your reports. You need to remain aware of your current condition, analyzing this as frequently as possible to ensure problems aren't missed and processes remain robust. Remote locations are no obstacle to this principle. Even if you have offices spread across an international landscape, go and see still applies. This does not have to mean literally traveling out to locations, so long as you regularly communicate with frontline workers to find out the facts of what is happening and keep your finger on the pulse of the business. Lean leaders want problems to be exposed. They do not want the truth filtered on the way up to them. Lean leaders engage their team members as direct resources of information and include them in decision-making processes. Lean management relies on the up-to-the-minute fact-checking. There are really two key questions every lean manager should constantly be asking. What are we trying to solve? And how can I help? Lean versus traditional management. This is a generalization, but most forms of traditional management involve a single individual or small management team setting out a vision and creating goals. They then put people in place and designate tasks and targets to them with the aim of accomplishing these goals. Progress is measured by means of statistics and reports passed up the chain at monthly, quarterly, or annual intervals. In a sense, lean managers still do this, but lean management involves a much higher level of people engagement and direct, visible feedback. The lean model for management includes no room for sitting in an office looking over reports, coming up with theoretical ideas for improvement, or redirecting the actions and priorities of the people on the shop floor based on these ideas. The question at the very heart of lean management is, how do I engage my team members so we are all in this together with our sleeves rolled up? The differences between managing by reports and managing by facts. Lean managers go to where the work is being done and stay up to date with the problems, issues, successes, and failures experienced on the shop floor each day. They get direct reports from the team members they work with, listening to their ideas for improvement and sharing experience and knowledge with them to come up with solutions in a timely and collaborative fashion. When team members see lean managers as the leaders in their workplace, they know that they have their backs and that they have a good sense of how everything works and how everything is going. There is a strong sense of working together. Lean managers cannot afford to come down with a case of stuck-in-office syndrome. Go and see. The above phrase, go and see, constitutes one of the central tenets of lean management. As a lean manager, you have to be constantly connected with your organization's operations and your customers' demands. You need to be regularly visiting the shop floor and keep open lines of communication with your reports. You need to remain aware of your current condition, analyzing this as frequently as possible to ensure problems aren't missed and processes remain robust. Remote locations are no obstacle to this principle. Even if you have offices spread across an international landscape, go and see still applies. This does not have to mean literally traveling out to locations, so long as you regularly communicate with frontline workers to find out the facts of what is happening and keep your finger on the pulse of the business. Lean leaders want problems to be exposed. They do not want the truth filtered on the way up to them. Lean leaders engage their team members as direct resources of information and include them in decision-making processes. Lean management relies on the up-to-the-minute fact-checking. There are really two key questions every lean manager should constantly be asking. What are we trying to solve? And how can I help? The role of lean management. A concise formulation of the role of lean management would be to leverage the vast human resource of an organization and direct it so that every person is on the same page, working together as a cohesive unit and engaged in value-added activity every minute of the day, moving the organization forward from its current condition toward the ideal condition. Let's take a closer look at some of the aspects this involves. Analyze the current condition against the ideal condition. Fundamental to lean management is continual analysis and awareness of the current condition, as well as the development of a vision of the ideal condition. When ideal condition is the reach for the stars goal, the current condition with 0 defects, 100% efficiency, products delivered exactly on time, and with maximum human development, clear career opportunities, job security, and 100% safety. This is what everyone in the company should always be striving towards as a unified, collaborative body. It is not expected that any company will ever truly reach its ideal condition, as this represents a perfect state that would be near impossible to achieve. However, this should not stop each organization working to bring its current condition as close to the ideal as possible. Inspect what you expect. Go and see. In a lean organization, accountability moves through the system from the top down, while ideas for improvement travel from the bottom up, driven at ground floor by those involved in the actual processes. We will look at this idea in more detail in the next chapter. Suffice to say here that the consequences of this for lean management can be summed up in the simple phrase, inspect what you expect. As managers in a lean organization, you must set goals and targets for those reporting to you, but you remain accountable for their performance in meeting your expectations. If you are not inspecting what's happening, you can have no idea whether or not expectations are being met. Visibility is key. Never rely on second-hand data or statistical reports. You need to be defining what needs to be achieved and making sure that progress towards goals is being made. Always remember to ask yourself, did you go? Did you see? Confirm everything with your own eyes. While in this sense, lean management plays an active role on the shop floor and in the continuous improvement of the organization, you should never micromanage. Setting goals is one thing, dictating actions quite another. As lean managers, it is important to step back and develop people so they can make necessary improvements to meet the goals you set. Motivate and develop your human resource and leverage its capability to improve materials, methods, and tools. Capable, motivated people build effective organizations. Develop your human resource. Kaizen is the tool used to satisfy customer requirements. Remember, this is synonymous with continuous improvement. Any organization's primary method of implementing a Kaizen system is through its people. Only through supporting and developing your people can you cultivate a culture of continuous improvement and problem solving that we have already seen is essential in accomplishing the goals of customer-first thinking. How can you effectively develop your human resource? Short-term development applies to new hires or to newly transferred or promoted colleagues. A team leader must directly support the work process to maintain quality, on-time delivery, and safety until new and inexperienced team members reach a level of skill and confidence to be able to work independently and autonomously. Management must work together with the team leader to solve problems and support them. Similarly, the role of a supervisor or manager at any level is to support those below him who are new to their responsibilities, but not to micromanage. Empower and develop your people so they can effectively fulfill your expectations of them. Long-term development of capability can also be applied at every level of management. At the lowest level, team leaders must plan to create a fully cross-functional skill set in all team members. Again, this is the same at each level moving up the chain of command. Developing cross-functional capabilities means that team members can replace each other in times of need. Beyond this, it also creates a broader understanding of how the organization works, which brings huge advantages in terms of problem-solving and teamwork. Development is promoted by cascading learning and knowledge down through entire organization and ensuring that everyone is striving towards the ideal. To support the shop floor, you must accurately understand your team's motivations as well as the demands of the customers at higher levels of management. Create goals and align goals. Qualify demand and translate this into goals. Later in the book, we will see how a performance matrix can be used to align goals with demand. Goals at each level must meet the demand of the process or level above. If each level within an organization is aligned this way, we can be assured that everyone is reading from the same page and working to move the organization forward together. Set targets. To help your team achieve goals, it helps to translate them into targets. This begs the question, what is the difference? The answer is that where goals set out a vision of what is to be accomplished, targets are more specific. They must be quantifiable and include a deadline for completion. Vague behavioral targets cannot be achieved in the sense that it is impossible to measure improvement. Without the ability to accurately quantify improvement, we'll never know when the target has been met. ACORN is a useful acronym to help you decide what makes a good target. It stands for accomplishment. What behavior is required to accomplish the target? Control. Do the people working on the target have control over their ability to achieve it? Objectives. Does meeting the target contribute to the overall objectives of the organization? Reconciliation. Can the target be reconciled with other goals and targets? Does it negatively impact anything else? Number. Can it be measured or quantified? Buying into the culture you create. Targets must be set at incremental steps, bridging the gap between the current condition and the ideal condition. To keep closing the gap is the basis of continuous improvement. Leadership buy-in is critical to the sustainment of Kaizen, as even the greatest human resource in the world suffer discouragement if their management team does not seem engaged in both the outcomes of initiatives and the process of achieving objectives. Be the student and the teacher. In all cases, no matter where you are in the organization, there are times when you have to be the teacher as you have the skills and experience to do so. But equally, there are times when you have to be the student, listen and learn. Pass on what you learn and act on it. Communicate and promote learning at all levels. Developing and maintaining a problem-solving culture means that people throughout the organization should always be learning. Really, learning is the most important thing about being inside a lean organization. Hoshin Kanri. Hoshin equals policy, direction, or goal. Kanri equals management. Hoshin Kanri is a strategic step-by-step planning process that takes a systems approach toward continuous improvement with built-in improvement and learning activities. It is founded on the guiding principle of inclusion at all levels. Implementing Hoshin Kanri brings with it a host of benefits in terms of simplifying the management of an organization according to lean principles of continuous improvement and CFT. It aligns everyone towards a few high-impact objectives while also keeping them accountable for their commitments through visual management and review. This means the organization is able to learn, develop, and improve its planning processes through root cause corrective action. There are 5 main principles behind Hoshin Kanri. Holistic, systematic thinking. Measuring the system as a whole gives a clear understanding of how the organization is performing in terms of Kaizen. Orientation towards specified goals. Setting and communicating objectives to everyone keeps everyone focused. Value stream mapping. Understanding the operating environment allows for future thinking. Strategic focus. Prioritizing energy and resources on key objectives makes an organization more effective and efficient. Inclusion. Involving everyone in the process creates a dynamic, creative business environment. The most well-known component of Hoshin Kanri is its matrix methodology, which provides a way to link an organization's most fundamental objectives with the goals of every department in the company. This provides an efficient, clean, and robust way to ensure that everyone is working on achieving what matters most to the business and its customers. While the matrix is important, strategic planning component is equally essential in implementing Kaizen. Hoshin Kanri can be seen as a method of application for the famous plan, do, check, act business model. A step-by-step breakdown of Hoshin Kanri follows. Step 1. Develop the vision, mission, and key metrics for the organization. These are the fundamental principles that the organization is built on, the overall objectives it is essential to achieve. This step lays the foundation for the remainder of the process. Step 2. Develop Hoshins, breakthrough objectives. Hoshins are the few vitally significant changes that need to happen in order to bring the current operating condition of the organization in line with its vision as outlined in the first step. Step 3. Create improvement plans. This basically equates to developing an instruction manual for achieving each Hoshin. Step 4. Align Hoshins. It is in this step that the performance matrix comes in. We will learn more about this below. The matrix allows the organization's objectives to be deployed top to bottom to include everyone in the business in achieving the goals. Step 5. Review the performance of the system as a whole. Look at the results on a weekly, monthly, and annual basis to ensure you always have a current analysis of the state of the organization and the progress that is being made towards achieving the objectives. A useful tool to help at this stage is a bowling chart, which sets out figures for key performance indicators in an easy-to-read and compare format, i.e., as the scores in a bowling game would be set out. Step 6. Focus on problem solving. On occasion, it is almost guaranteed that an organization will miss out on an objective, and this will be picked up in the reviewing stage. In this case, root causes must be identified and countermeasures applied accordingly. Step 7. Reflect and learn. Seek to understand and grow from each daily experience. Every Hoshin Kanri plan must fit the organization's individual culture and needs. Steps 1 and 2 represent the plan stages of PDCA, whereas 3 and 4 represent do, 5 represents check, and 6 represents act. Step 7 is an additional step essential for Kaizen. The performance matrix. Lean management, as we have seen, requires a system in which ideas and improvements come from the bottom up, driven from the ground floor where the value-added activities are taking place. This is a departure from the traditional business model in which plans for improvement are conjured by people in boardrooms with no direct involvement in what's going on. On the flip side, accountability must move through the organization in a top-down fashion. Each level of management has a responsibility to ensure those at lower levels are meeting goals and all their team members are living up to their commitments on all occasions. To maintain this structure and involve everyone in achieving the goals of the organization, it is important for everyone within the organization to understand the answers to the questions: where are we going? Why? What are the ultimate goals? And how do we get there? The performance matrix component of Hoshinkanri aligns thinking and objectives at every level within an organization. Different vantage levels, correlating with different management levels, become sequentially more specific as we move from top to bottom. The matrix is outlined below. Philosophy. President, responsible for development of overall ideals. Policy. Vice President, responsible for the creation of goals defining specific aspects of the big picture. Deployment. Manager, creates missions designed to lead to accomplishments. Strategy. Team leader, defines the responsibilities of team members and creates plans for their fulfillment. Tactical. Team member, decides, understands what duties to complete to fulfill their role. If this is organized appropriately and implemented correctly so that activities at each level are focused on meeting the goals set out by the level above, each daily task will ultimately be in line with the overall philosophy of the organization. At the same time, each level of management maintains the responsibilities for ensuring the goals they have set are accomplished by the level below. Hoshinkanri is a method of utilizing holistic or system thinking to provide a roadmap geared towards strategic planning and annual goal setting. Respect for people. People are your greatest resource. It is almost universally true that people want to make a valuable contribution to the world. People want their work to be rewarding, their projects to be fruitful, and their efforts to be recognized. It is also true that people have a near limitless capability given the right training, environment, and encouragement. A huge part of lean management is cultivating this immense resource through personal development. A key idea in lean management is respect for people and their capabilities. This ties in with the ideas of human capability versus machine capability. On hearing the word lean, many people think of making cuts, particularly to the workforce, and replacing manpower with automated processes. While there is some work in every organization that should rightly be attributed to machines, this is only because it would count as busy work were a human worker asked to perform it. Busy work is any activity that could be easily automated or eliminated and holds no scope for improvement or growth in a person. There is no reward from this type of work, and importantly, it often does not add value to the final product. People know when tasks are menial and lacking in value. You will quickly see morale and engagement drop if you do not work to redirect your human resource to more challenging and rewarding activities, thereby showing respect for their intelligence, creativity, and capability. Lean is not about replacing people with robots. Robots don't solve problems. Capitalize on your human resource by directing it towards rewarding, value-added activities and creating an environment where growth and development is not only possible, but it is openly encouraged. Remember, you need to cultivate a problem-solving culture with everyone engaged in working towards the same goals through a process of continuous improvement. The only way to do this is through respect for human capabilities. There are 5 main factors that must be addressed in order to maximize development of your human resource as set out below. 1. Safe working conditions. Health and safety regulations can often seem excessive and pedantic, but the principle of keeping people safe at work is integral to human development. Your people are valuable, and you should treat them as such. Creating a clean, safe, organized work environment can have huge knock-on effects in terms of productivity, staff turnover, employee morale, customer loyalty, and overall business growth. So it is well worth paying attention to. 2. Challenging opportunities. People need to feel challenged in their work in order to remain engaged with it. There is a fine balance to be struck here. If work is not challenging enough, people will become bored, feel unfulfilled and dissatisfied, and the standard of work will quickly drop. However, if work is too challenging for the level the employee is currently at, the end goals will seem so distant and unachievable that the person is likely to give up before they have even started. Regular performance reviews, open communication, and personal development plans are great tools to ensure all your team members are completing work at the right level to keep them engaged and maximize their potential to find creative solutions to problems. 3. Job security. No one will give all in their position in which they do not feel secure. How can you commit to something that you feel may be pulled from under your feet at any moment? If you want people to put a lot of energy and thought into their work, you must ensure they feel safe and secure in their position. Importantly, people need to feel confident that they can make mistakes. A problem-solving culture is a creative and experimental culture. Things will go wrong and initiatives will fail. It is critical to develop a culture that asks why and not who when things fall apart. Asking why means reflecting on the failure, looking for a root cause, finding a new solution, learning from the experience, and moving forward together. Asking who means looking for someone responsible to whom you can apportion blame, someone to criticize. This creates division, fear of failure, reluctance to try new things or put forward new ideas, and job insecurity. 4. Value-added work. Provide people with jobs that add value and never dish out busy work. As we have seen above, assigning menial tasks to your team members can have extremely negative repercussions. You are actively disrespecting people by asking them to complete work that is unnecessary, unrewarding, and provides no room for growth. By always demonstrating respect for people in these ways, lean management leads to each person working every day to make their job better, knowing they are adding value for the customer, using their creativity, and having a safe work environment. This is the foundation for a problem-solving culture, continuous improvement, and customer-first thinking. The Lean Management Toolkit. The fundamental goal of lean management is to move an organization forward through continuous improvement with a focus on customer-first thinking, aiming to get as close to the ideal condition for that organization as possible. The basic methodology employed is to first grasp the current condition and start measuring performance based on fact. Next, establish the ideal condition, analyze the gap between where you are and where you want to be, and determine what improvement is required, setting and aligning relevant goals throughout the organization. This is all well and good in theory, but it can be difficult to know where to start when it comes to putting these ideas into practice, particularly if your company is not already governed by a lean philosophy. A vast multitude of business tools have been developed to help make effective lean management a more straightforward affair. Below, we will look in some detail at 4 tools that have proven track records in diverse business arenas and can be applied to help solve a great variety of problems. 5S. 5S is a method of creating a clean and orderly workplace that exposes waste and makes problems or abnormalities immediately visible. 5S is thought to have its origins in Japanese lean business models, since the 5 S's refer to 5 Japanese words starting with the letter S. In fact, Henry Ford's can-do acronym was the clear precursor to the development of the Japanese system. Can-do stands for cleaning up, arranging, neatness, discipline, and ongoing improvement. The idea was obviously adopted by Japanese business and translated into the 5S system, the terminology from which has stuck in business language and models across the globe. The terms and their translations are below. Siri, sort. This step involves all unnecessary equipment, materials, parts, and supplies being removed from the work environment to keep it clean and free of clutter. Seton, set in order. A popular description of this step is a place for everything and everything in its place. This means to allocate specific locations for everything to be stored when not in use and make sure that they are kept there. Sisu, shine. Perhaps at first sight a more vague or unclear concept than the others, shine simply means to employ a clean-as-you-go process. Every employee and manager should take the time to keep everything spick and span in their work area throughout the day. Shiketsu, standardize. The 5 S's should not be seen as ad hoc activities. Cleaning and identification methods must be consistently applied. Shitsuki, self-discipline. 5S is a habit that must be ingrained in everyone throughout the organization and continually improved. What does the 5S system help us to achieve? In basic terms, it is a way to ensure that you have a clear view of all the processes taking place, making it easy to readily identify where problems are occurring as a matter of course so that processes need to be changed, and also to easily spot abnormalities that indicate that something has gone wrong. The aim is zero waste and confusion so that problems can be identified and solved quickly and easily. Maintaining a comprehensive 5S system throughout the organization will mean each new day is safer and easier than the one before. A3. A3 is a formatted way to address and correct any problem. Taking its name from the size of paper, it constitutes a problem-solving format that can be fitted into one A3 sheet. This system is used to provide a methodical, step-by-step format for presenting facts about a problem and choosing what actions should be taken to resolve it. A3 is a useful methodology as it is simple for anyone to learn to use it and thereby become an effective problem solver. With clear, standardized steps to be followed in every situation, it allows anyone to follow the author's process and understand the import of the actions decided upon. A3 can help synchronize company culture and the lean approach. The A3 format consists of 7 to 9 steps depending on which template you use. You could even create your own that is specialized to the needs and processes of your organization. The basic building blocks that make up an A3 action plan are outlined below. Theme or objective. This is a small section in which you briefly state the problem and the goal or objective that will be achieved by solving it. Example: lead times need to be reduced to ensure customer orders are processed and delivered on time. Current condition. In the second section, describe the problem as it exists, detailing the defect level and who or what is affected. Example: at present, lead times are too long by 3 days, preventing the organization from filling customer orders promptly. The customer is affected when the item they want is not in stock. Target or goal. Here simply outline what we are trying to achieve. Describe the ideal future state. Example: lead times will be reduced by 3 days within 1 month. Root cause analysis. This is often considered the most difficult part of the A3 plan, and in general, it requires communication and collaboration to get right. There are many diagnostic tools available to help with discovering the cause of different kinds of problems. Diagrams are often more helpful than words. You must ensure that you carry out in-depth analysis to correctly identify the root cause of the problem so that it can be effectively and permanently dealt with. Example: the cause of the increased lead times is waiting on raw materials from unreliable suppliers. Countermeasures. In this section, detail what actions will be taken to resolve the matter. This is the most important step. In the ideal scenario, you will get it right the first time to prevent waste activities in the form of reviewing and reworking the problem-solving strategy. Example: research alternative suppliers and negotiate a new contract. Implementation. Here a plan should be put in place for the implementation of the countermeasures, detailing who will be responsible for what action and time frames that will apply. Example, Bob in procurement to create a short list of alternative suppliers within 3 days. Aaron from B2B account management to connect and meet with suppliers on shortlist to ensure they are compatible to company principles and negotiate best terms within 2 weeks. Follow up. Once the problem-solving actions have been implemented, it is important to evaluate the success of the plan, validate that the root cause was found, and investigate any related issues. In this section, you should detail what follow-up activities will take place with time frames. Example, review lead times weekly after changing supplier and compare actual figures to anticipate a decrease in lead times. Check that there is a correlating decrease in the amount of times customers attempt to order items that are out of stock. A3 planning is extremely helpful in identifying and solving key system problems. It can be used at every level in an organization, and keeping a standard format throughout helps to communicate and understand how much progress is being made and in what areas. Using A3 also helps to ensure that actions remain aligned with the overarching goals of the organization. Value Stream Mapping, VSM. Value stream mapping is the single most useful tool in establishing the current condition of an organization. In basic terms, a value stream map is a detailed map of all steps or processes required to transform a good from raw materials to a finished and delivered product. In terms of the service industry, it is all the steps involved in delivering a service from initial customer contact, or in some cases even in anticipation of this, to completion. The idea is straightforward. Map the entire procedure, showing all work that takes place, importantly including both value-added and non-value-added steps. No analysis is required. You just need to detail everything that takes place within the organization as a product or service moves from conception to completion. This simple act of mapping gives rise to a great many opportunities for continued improvement and provides an important tool for decision-making and identification of problems, waste activities. A value stream map allows you to see both the forest and the trees. It provides an overview of how each individual process does or does not add value to the system as a whole. Often, seeing a value stream map can be the first time you really look at how everything fits together, and this can be an extremely powerful experience. It is important to keep in mind, though, that the creation of a value stream map is not the end game. It is a useful tool that provides a healthy and collaborative way to start talking about improvements. Future Stream Mapping, FSM. Future stream mapping is similar and linked to value stream mapping. It involves mapping the perfect value system for a product or service. In other words, creating a map showing what the ideal condition looks like. To create this, look at the value stream map detailing your current condition and ask yourself, what would it look like if every step in the process was as clean and efficient as possible? The future stream map provides a standard for comparison. It should be thought of as a guide, a documented starting point on which to base goals for improvement. It is extremely helpful in lean management to be able to say, this is where we are and this is where we want to be. This allows you to set achievable goals and monitor progress, as well as giving everyone within the organization a clear picture of the business's aims, helping to keep everyone working together as a cohesive unit to achieve them. While a future stream map provides an important standard, it should be remembered that it is highly unlikely that any organization will ever realize the ideal condition it depicts. Achieving the status shown by FSM is not a goal in itself, and it should not be viewed as failure if the ideal condition is not made into a reality. After all, improvement is always possible. FSM can be done for every product, service, or product family offered by an organization. Now you understand the fundamental principles of lean management, but where do you start when it comes to transforming your organization into a lean machine? Always keep in mind the idea of continuous improvement. The best place to start is often with what can be done quickly and easily. As long as you keep making choices and solving problems, it's okay to start out small. The first steps should always be VSM and FSM, allowing you to clearly establish the current condition and ideal condition. From here, you can always analyze the gap and begin to make improvements. There are two types of improvement. Functional improvement, which does not require a lot of strategy, collaboration, checks, or approvals. This type of improvement is constituted by adjusting processes to eliminate glaring problems that can be easily fixed on the shop floor with typical timescales of 30 to 60 days. Importantly, the changes made in functional improvement do not usually affect a lot of other processes. Implement this kind of change up front to start reaping immediate rewards. System improvement, which requires cross-functional collaboration and planning. This type of improvement won't happen overnight. It means making changes to the system as a whole to make it continually more lean. In most cases, you will require good project management tools in place for system improvements, and you will need to engage in long-term thinking. Think about where you could be when you wake up 5 years from now, then collaborate across all departments to set goals and targets that will help you get there. Finally, always keep in mind the popular analogy of rocks in a jar. A professor standing in front of a class holds up a jar containing rocks and asks the students if the jar is full. They reply that it is full. The professor then takes a bucket of sand and pours it into the jar so that the grains fall between the rocks. He asks, "If the jar was full, how could I add the sand?" The students see that the jar was perhaps not really full before, but all agree that the jar is now completely full as the space between the rocks has been filled with the sand. The professor then takes a cup of water and pours it into the jar. Of course, the water is absorbed by the sand and fills any remaining space. He asks again, "If the jar was full, how could I add the water?" In the same way that the full jar can always be filled a little more, any system can always be improved. You must start out with the rocks. These are your most important tasks, your system improvements that will have the most significant and far-reaching effects. Your rocks are the foundations on which to build a lean organization, a problem-solving culture, respect for people, and Hoshin-aligned goals. Beyond this, the members of the organization should work together to keep adding sand and water to the jar. That is to say, working together to help solving problems and making functional improvements at a more specific and detailed level of operation through a Kaizen methodology. With each successive problem that is solved and goal that is reached, the organization will grow and develop to become a perfectly lean machine.